Well, beautiful souls, welcome back, or welcome to the Hawk. My name is Lana Zelinsky, and I work in the spirit dimensions. As always, in all my videos or on my live feeds, simply take what resonates, and you're welcome to leave the rest right here. A little bit of glitch this morning. Not sure. Um, and I just trust it. I know I always just trust how things are and what's meant to be. And sometimes there's a reason for a pause, and we need to pause. And a lot of what Spirit said kind of resonates a little bit with that this morning. I'm curious with those of you who are already on this morning, before I jump into what Spirit said, how many of you are feeling a push to be understood? How many of you are feeling a little bit of that push? Either I don't feel heard, I don't feel understood, I don't feel included, or the whole feeling of, do I matter? I just want to tap into that a little bit. Is anybody struggling with the feeling of being understood? I'll give you all a minute to understand that. Yes, there goes Dee Dee. And I'll just give you a minute if it doesn't resonate with you, it's okay. But Spirit talked to me a little bit about this cluttered feeling, this feeling of not being understood. And sometimes that can kind of shift us a little bit in our own alignment. A neighbor yelled at me yesterday, and I did nothing wrong. Yes, in a way, not all the time. Last week, I felt misunderstood at work. Here we go. And do I matter? Always. Absolutely. Here we go. Hello, you're on point. Thank you very much, you guys. Yes, but I always felt this way. Very, very interesting. Um, a few things that Spirit kind of leaned into a little bit today was really trusting our own truth, really trusting what matters to us, really trusting that it's okay to change, where we're at, where we're standing, where we're going. And really, and I know we know this, and we do, it's said all the time, what other people think and how they feel, quite often that's their own stuff. And we kind of take things a little bit personal, and I feel that with this whole personal piece, we tap into it and we lean into it. And Spirit kept pushing us out of that energy. And I feel like as we kind of navigate through the next couple days and towards the weekend, I feel like we're going to be shown a little bit of that, a little bit of that is going to come up for some of us. And it's about kind of shifting into what would Spirit think about that, and what really matters to you. And I get it, we all want to feel included and accepted, in a space of belonging, and sometimes we don't get that from other people, but we seek it so much. We seek that feeling of being understood, at being accepted, and with some things and with some topics, everybody's entitled to their own alignment. And I think that every now and again we feel really pushed to be demanding with it. Or perhaps you're seeing this in reverse. Perhaps you're seeing it from other people. Perhaps you're seeing it, a little bit more demand for people to wanting you to understand. And there are so many things that we truly don't with other people's experiences, and how they process the physical world and what they're going through. But other people are also working on their own healing, and other people also are working on their own spiritual growth. And we are all in different processes with that. And I think I just felt a little bit of frustration with some of that, in the next couple days. Just kind of remember that I said it as it comes up, to say, oh yeah, now I understand that. It may be within you, or you may be seeing it within other people. And I think, especially, and it kind of made sense, especially this time of year, people are processing and dealing with so many different things, from loss, from missing family members that have passed, from processing their own experiences. And I feel we're going to get, like I said, more and more of that kind of spikes as the week continues. The other thing that came up was a lot of this, go with the flow. A lot of the go with the flow has going to be sparking. We're going to be asked for a little bit more of that, with that whole allowing piece over the next couple days. And I kind of leaned in there and felt, well, is this coming from moon energy? Is this coming from spirit? And it's coming from collective, and it really doesn't matter where it's coming from. But Spirit gave me a big push with that message, with go with the flow, change is required, pivot when needed to, let go as things happen. We get into this resistance this time of year, with having to be so focused on what things should be, could be, things that we're not doing, where we're not at. and it's more of a lean into that go with the flow. And when we kind of lean into that, a lot more things that are meant to come in start to show up in our life because we're not pushing back against it. And it can be that there are, social situations that you're not meant to attend this year, or there's things that you're just not meant to lean into. And when we kind of stop pushing against it, when we kind of just allow things to unfold and allow things to move as they need to, we kind of have less and less of that friction. We push against things a little bit less when we go with the flow. The other thing that spirit kind of leaned into a little bit, that and I love when spirit does this when I'm reminded of that inner child, that magic within me, that little girl, that little energy within me. When we kind of look at that, when you think about how many little kids are, they're very much with a go with the flow for the most part. They also have this thing with magic. There's magic in almost anything, and I feel like there's this inner child within many of us, not just over the holiday season, but I all quite often that playful energy can shift things so much. The inner child also brings forward a lot of healing work that still needs to be processed or worked on. And I really feel that all of our inner childs are going to step forward over the next couple days, with a little bit of an ask to be more playful, to be a little bit more magical. And yes, it does tie into the season, but it also ties into the experience here in the physical world. We do take so many things, very, very seriously. And sometimes it is what it is. And we need to kind of lean into that more with the go with the flow and dance through it and have a good time anyway. And I think, as the days go by and as we lean into the weekend, I really think that this is going to be a little bit of a aha moment for some of you, a little bit of I needed that reminder, and some things that I channel, I even sit there and think, well, I'm not quite sure about that today. And then within a few hours or 24 hours, it's like, oh, oh, I get it now. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. The other thing that's going to peak up a little bit as well in the next couple days is expectations. I want you to watch where you're leaning into them. I just want you to watch those expectations because we can change them and we can navigate through them from a very different vibration. And sometimes we just need to change how we're doing things. Especially, with this time of year, with the expectation of spending money, the expectations of what we need to do and what we need to give. We can change how we look at that. And I've been working very hard over the last couple of years to not fall into the expectations trap. And I just need you to be reminded of that. We can change expectations, right? So, I'll give you just one simple example. It's okay to have homemade Christmas gifts this year. It's okay to regift things this year. It's okay to just do your best and let that be enough. And just kind of shifting out expectations. And one thing that when you really kind of tap into that, and when you really kind of lean into the people in your life, sometimes we assume the expectations. Often we will assume that. Ask people that are around you, do they really, really want that sweater or those socks or that candy or whatever it is that you normally give? And I'll bet you that expectation is mainly created by you. We create expectations. Sometimes we create a story in our own mind and we reread that, right? So just kind of shift in there a little bit this for the next couple days. Just kind of keep it in the back of your mind. Being aware is a huge help as we navigate things because it does simmer down that whole this is me creating that. This is me assuming that. This is me having ththose cluttered thoughts. We need to kind of lean out of that a little bit, especially as we grow as a collective. We are going to change how we look at things. It needs to happen. So just kind of shift in there a little bit. Just kind of remember that I said it. And with this whole push to being understood, you need to understand yourself. You need to have that connection with you and your higher self, and you're the one that needs to be okay with that. Other people will figure it out. All right, let's scroll through. Sorry, I have an eyelash on my eye here. Let's scroll through some of the questions here. Diane Quinn, the full moon was beautiful. I took time and stood outside, filled myself with the energy. It felt so good, very positive. I have a different outlook on this Christmas. I love that, Diane. I didn't get a whole lot of full moon views. It was quite cloudy here the last couple days with some lovely snow, but I know the moon energy is there anyway, and I myself simply did the same thing. I went and stood outside, did some releasing, did some connecting, did some absorbing. I'm going to scroll back up to the top here and see if I can grab some questions. Um, Libby, last week I felt misunderstood at work. Absolutely. That's what she said. You're on point. Yeah, spirit always gives us what we need. And I know I've learned not to question that. Every now and again I'll pause and make sure that I'm hearing it properly. But I've really learned to just lean in there and trust if it resonates with one person really needed to hear it. That's enough for me. Linda, I just wanted to let you know you are helping me through my grief. Your messages mean a lot. Linda, you are so welcome. Um, and I'll tap into a little bit of that, Linda. And I appreciate the acknowledgement. I truly do. And there are moments where I kind of pause and not really question, but I'm human too. And I'll say, am I helping? Does this help? And it's the reason why I show up, and it's the reason why spirit shows up for me is to be able to help and to bring an understanding. And we're all in this together. We're all in this journey together. So that is a beautiful gratitude for me, Linda, and I feel that right in my heart space. Um, Mila, when do you feel like I'll find a boyfriend? I'm worried I won't have one. You got to change that mindset. Number one. Number one, you got to change that mindset. It's when we ask the universe, I'd like a companion, or I'd like a friend, or I'd like a partner. And then we lean into, I'm worried I'll never find one. We literally say to the universe, no, thanks, I'm not ready. And that leans into all things. I'd like more abundance, but I don't believe it's coming. I would like to do this, but I don't feel I'm worthy. We all do it. We ask the universe for something, and we get out of alignment with it, and we separate out of law of attraction. Now, I get it. We always want things right now, right now, right now. Spirit has had many conversations with me with, right now is not the time. And do you want the wrong person, or do you want to wait for what's for your highest good? Energetically, we always ask for our highest good. Most of us don't walk around saying, "Oh, send me the wrong person so that I can have a horrible experience." And we vibrationally also put out, if this whole lack of, do attract with law of attraction and energy attraction. We can attract what we don't want. We 100% we can attract what we don't want. And I always say to clients, friends, my students, I want you to take a moment and kind of tap into your own vibration. If you don't think something's coming, it's not coming, or you're going to meet people that are not available to stay. So, Mila, I really need you to kind of tap into, I'm working on myself to be ready for the right person, and I'm working on myself to trust that when it's time, and everything is in alignment, that the right person is coming to me. And I would also be very clear on with yourself energetically as well, as what are you looking for? What really matters in an energy, right? So, I mean, we all want that, that, I'll use the word, fairy tale. We all want, what we think is going to be perfect, but lean in more energetically what you want in someone, and that's the signal you have to put out. And I think that it's really important that we learn to lean in there. And it is a hard one. I understand that, Mila. It is a hard one when we feel that we're ready and we're not meeting the right person. You just have to trust. If time is a physical world thing that we are so caught up in it. I want it now, I want it now, I want it now. And I just need to help you lean into, I'm ready when it's time. I'm ready when it's experience that is right for me. Um, Watch the signals that you're putting out. It's so important, you guys, to watch the signals that you're pointing out. I have learned to word that very, very, very lovingly with my own manifestations and what I want in my life. I only want what's right for me, and I only want it for my highest good. So lean in there. It's almost midnight where I am, though, says Sonia. Well, thanks for staying up late and joining us. Kayla, it's a beautiful reminder. Um, So today I'm wondering if my spirit guides had any messages for me regarding South Korea. Much love. So Nate, I really feel that I need to push you into that. And it's what's really interesting is I don't know if you're having more downloads or more intuition, but spirit is really pushing me into you need to tap into that and feel. And I feel like I feel it quite, and I kind of resisted it a little bit. I want to tap in. I want to tap in, and spirit kind of pushed me to push you into you need to lean into that. There's been a lot of growth for you with your intuition and your own spidey senses, and I've got to kind of build that trust now. I've got to kind of get you to walk across the trust bridge. I've got to get you to lean in there. So I'm going to reword that question to you, Sonays. How does it feel to you? Where does your gut and where does your knowing, and that goes for all of you who have questions like that, is first sit with it and tap into the feeling of it. What does it feel like? And go with the description. What does it feel like? Describe it to yourself. My father is getting worse, says Linda. It's to be expected. Any messages from his guides? Linda, I want to know, Linda, if Dad has gotten more quiet. I feel like he's kind of processing. I feel like he's kind of thinking and evaluating. I feel like there's some, like I'll use the word making peace within himself. So I'm just curious if he's wondering if he's more quiet. I also have to say to you and to the family, it he knows how loved he is. He knows how supported he is, and you're showing that always. And I think even like over the years that has been shown to him. So I don't know if somebody is processing that or struggling with that, but I really feel I need to say those words. But I also feel I need to hold the space for Dad with some of the processing. So I don't know if someone has been poking at him as to what you're thinking about or what's wrong or what's this or what do you need. I feel like I just gotta hold space. I feel like him processing. Linda, or sorry, Diane, let me know if that makes sense to you. Cheyenne, the moon has caused a face plant here. It's taught me that I've not been myself. So now I'm sitting with myself like, well, who am I? And that is a big question. And I want you to remember, Cheyenne, that there are many different versions of you. There are many different energies within you. And I think we all kind of get to that place, especially when we are going through a big growth. When we're about to have a huge growth spurt, we feel that. We feel that uncertainty. Well, who the heck am I? Huh, what am I doing here? Like what's my path? What's my purpose? And that quite often comes up when we're just about to have that step forward into something new. And I really feel that when we sit with that, Cheyenne, what often is happening is you are sitting with old versions of yourself as well. And I feel like I've got to acknowledge them. I've got to acknowledge the version of you that was learning. I got to acknowledge the version of you that was, like previous versions of ourselves. That's all part of you. But I feel like this new piece of you, I feel like that you're aware that that's coming in, and that's why you're feeling it as who am I? So when we go deeper and when we kind of step, I call it either the next grade or leveling up or going deeper within ourselves, and we're trusting a little bit more, things are about to shift. And things are about to shift in incredible ways. And then you just kind of have to make sure that you're sturdy in your spiritual legs, that I'm ready to step forward. Because quite often when new things come up for us, we have this whole, but that's I've never done that before. I've never been that person before. I've never had that experience before. When you're sitting in there, just tap into your own willingness to learn, your own willingness to explore and navigating through new parts of you that are coming in is the greatest gift you can give yourself. I'm going to explore this, and I'm going to just kind of like lean in and see where it's going to take me. And it is that a little bit of that whole go with the flow. And I think sometimes what will peek in there, Cheyenne, is sometimes we may not even understand this new version of ourselves. I have been in that position many a times with spirit is like, okay, not understanding this, so, and it's okay to spend some time kind of navigating and learning that and processing that. And that goes into all different versions of ourselves. When things start to not resonate with us anymore, I mean, when you kind of reflect back, Cheyenne, if you just kind of think back, where things or people or situations slowly fading away, Were you slowly stepping out, or did you rapidly step out? It can go at a fast pace as well. But I feel like as when you kind of do that self-reflection, it's like you can almost see it coming. You can see the steps you were taking into a new direction when you kind of sit. And I really love that you have worded it that way. I'm sitting with myself. Face plants during full moons are very common. Energetically, a full moon can bring us a deeper or heightened awareness. But I also feel that awareness sometimes is quite often there in our either in our subconscious, or we're not quite willing to tap into it fully. Because I've said to spirit many times, as I'm sitting under a full moon, I didn't see that coming. And spirit's like, well, actually, Lana, we showed you here, we showed you here, we showed you here, we showed you here. And it's like, oh, I didn't see it. or I didn't want to. And that's the other thing, is sometimes we do have our, I'm just going to go this way. I'm not looking this way or that way. I think we've all been there. 100% we've all been there. Uh, there's a lot of questions here, you guys. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. I do have to work today. Um, Kyle, I've never been more exhausted, feeling a bit better today. I'm Pisces Sun Virgo rising. Do you think the moon is the reason? Sending you love and light. I'm sending that to you too, Kyle. Big hug, big squeeze to you. Big old squeeze. I do feel part of it is the moon, Kyle. But I also feel when you lean in there a little bit, I feel like I've got to give you time to recover and recuperate. Sometimes energetically, and we forget about that. We forget about our spiritual gas tank, right? We're focused more on like on the physical body, and energetically when we start to feel worn out or tired, or I can't go forward anymore, it's time to kind of tap into that and say, what do I need to tap into it? Usually it's spiritual practices. Sometimes it can be physical world stuff as well. But yeah, I feel like your energy, your higher self is saying, you know what, Kyle, yeah, chill, plug yourself into something spiritual that brings you joy or curiosity. It can be something as simple as reading a book, journaling, hanging out under the full moon, just simply breathing. I feel like you're going to need more and more of that as you grow forward, Kyle. I also feel spiritual shifts with you. So I don't know if you're having a whole bunch of aha moments recently, or if you're having a whole, like, I just feel like your jaw dropping. Oh, now I get it. No, oh, now I get it. As we navigate through that, we do need to pause. And when we don't, I'll tell you this right now, your spirit guides will make that pause very, very clear. If I don't listen to my spirit guides, and every now and again I don't, every now and again it's like, yeah, but, or I'm 100% real on that. With me, it's my bear. If my bear shows up and I don't listen, if I don't take note and I don't kind of chillax, um, physically I'll feel it, or physically something minor will happen. I'll twist my ankle, I'll have a headache, or whatever it is, and I just need to slow down and to just kind of breathe and take that moment. We're so focused on everything having to get done, right? We have to meet those expectations, we have to keep going full tilt. I really feel, Kyle, that you're just being asked to breathe, to recharge, to allow yourself to grow. Shannon, I love that playful and go with the flow message. We all need that happiness. There's so much joy in that. We complicate the recipe of life. We really do. I often, will use that analogy here on the channel as well in videos and in my own personal life. Am I adding something to my recipe of life that's complicating things that I can leave out? Right? Can I leave that out and still find joy? And 99.9% of the time it's like, oh yes, I can. Oh yes, I can. I'm glad that that resonates there with you. Cheyenne, holy moly, those expectations. I figured out that I'm being who I'm expected to be instead of who I really am. Yeah, huge one, Cheyenne. Huge, huge one there and I think sometimes we get pulled out of who we are. Right. And there's a whole bunch of reasons. It can be old programming, it can be expectations, we can often be afraid of who we really are. Think about that for a moment. We can if we and I'll use myself as an example, there were many times on my journey where I was very secretive about who I really am. I didn't wanna be judged for it. I didn't wanna be criticized for it. I had a fear of what if I'm not accepted? I secretly did readings, right? The whole, meet me here kind of place, avoiding business cards or avoiding social media. And this is a big part of who I am. And it's just an example. It can be many, many different things. But we do have this whole uncertainty sometimes and sometimes we're figuring out who we are, and sometimes who we are is changing. When you think about it, as in the analogy of we shed old versions of ourselves and we have this new version of ourselves and we're learning to walk again, that can be a little bit uncertain for us too. I'm learning to walk in this, and I will often remind myself of that, if especially when spirit gives me a new way of connecting. I'm learning to walk again. I'm learning something new, and I've got to treat myself like I would treat a little baby learning to walk. We don't say to little babies, hurry up and walk, you're not doing it right. Right, we put out our finger and we support them. That's kind of how I will look at that as well, is I will take a look at how I'm treating myself as I'm learning the new version of myself, or as I'm allowing things to fall back, as I'm allowing, those, if that doesn't serve me anymore, heck no, I'm not doing that anymore. Great conversations we're having here today. Shelby, I go with the flow. I love go with the flow energy. I've had a lot of changes in my life the last few months and could use a message from spirit. Anything for me today, Shelby? I really feel. I'm actually hearing it. And I'm hearing it at a really interesting vibration. I'm hearing a lot of applauding, and I'm really feeling that you need to. Even though you love go with the flow energy, I feel like you're not applauding for yourself. I feel like you're not acknowledging yourself a little bit deeper than the surface. You're doing your best, and you're acknowledging some of it. What spirit is showing me is to push a little bit deeper into that space, because I think, and for most of us, we do struggle with that whole "Am I enough? Am I worthy enough?" That's a very common thing for most of us. But I feel like I've got to get you to acknowledge yourself. Here's what they're showing me. R I'm just having a listen. Make yourself your own homemade card, thanking yourself. Write yourself a thank you letter. Write yourself an acknowledgement. Write yourself a thinking of you. And they're literally showing it to me in like a card form where you kind of draw something, open it up. That's how they're showing it to me. Fascinating how we're working today. That's what they're showing me that they would like you to do. And if that resonates for anybody, please feel free to pick that up. But I feel like I've got to get you to give yourself that acknowledgement, that thank you letter, an inspiration card, whatever you feel you need. I'd like you to lean into that. Okay, where are we going here? I'm going to take a few more, and then I really need to. I'm in sessions. The sessions have been very busy this week, and I'm very grateful, for a few reasons. I've had to move some things around. I am away next week. I'm heading to Ottawa, so I'm going to be gone, early Thursday morning, right to Sunday night. So I've had to move a few of my sessions around. Maybe us two can help each other with our current lessons. I feel like we may be able to teach the coming time. I love that, Cheyenne. There we go. I love how you guys interact. I often miss the first parts of the chats because I try not to read and channel at the same time, 'cause I find it very distracting, but lovely. Spotty TY, I feel a little worried this week for the future, to be honest, but I'm trying to go with the flow. So when it comes to the future, things can shift very quickly. Alignment can happen and things can heal very quickly. The one thing with the future is when you kind of sit in that, there is a lot of repeat lessons that are going on collectively as well. A lot of what's happening is not new. We are repeating old lessons. We are repeating things that we need to learn. I also feel, and when I tap into the future, because um I do feel quite strongly that with what we are navigating through, it is going to bring us to a higher collective point. I really feel that what is happening is not all necessarily bad. I feel like it's going to propel us. I feel us pulling together more. Is the future going to have moments where it's going to be sticky, or we're going to be navigating through it dark and a little bit of darkness? Yeah, it's going to. But we also have a lot of light, and it's going to affect people in different patches, in different ways, with different lessons. But I feel, and when I've leaned into that, because I know I'm fully aware, not mostly aware of, some things in the world are not pretty right now, but there's a lot of beauty, and there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of good things that are happening as well. And I am seeing communities pull together at in such glorious ways that we I've never seen before in my lifetime. Incredible ways people are coming together. So I try to look at things from both perspectives. I lean in there with trust. I lean in there with what we're going to go through, as a society. We are going to navigate through it together to get to the other side. And I know that, there is, good, the bad, and the ugly in all things, and there always has been. But I am not willing to participate in the momentum of that. I want to teach the world to sing, and if it's three people, I'll teach three people. I refuse to lean into that with and have my own um energy and my own personal experiences be altered. And that's kind of where I want to lean into. Wes, have you looked into the Discord magic? I've sent some pictures in the group chat on Facebook Messenger. Yes, Wes, I have looked into it. And what I'm going to do is I am going to contact you guys. I have to get through this, this week and part of next week, as far as obligations that I have to tidy up before Christmas. I am also doing some urgent sessions with some people who are preparing to transition over to the spirit dimensions, and I'm also away. So as soon as I get through that part of my schedule, we are going to do a Zoom meeting. We are going to discuss Discord, and we will get that set up and perhaps put it on the goal list, for next year, and for to be able to go into January with that set up. I also have a few other things that I am working on. For those of you who have not known yet, there is some travel coming for the Hawk and I. I am going to be in Mexico for Day of the Dead next year, and I am going to be doing a little bit of, some touring next year. So I have got a lot on the go that I've got to tie up in the next couple weeks. But Wes, 100%, we are going to get that off the ground, and I am so grateful for the love and the support and the guidance here. Um, I've also got some new modalities coming. Spirit has been working with me in shifting a lot of the healing work that I'm doing, in shifting a lot of, the sessions and how I'm receiving messages. So there's always, that extra added layer with what I do. It's not just about the work hours, with clients. There's so much going on right now behind the scenes with the Hawk and I, and it's all delicious and it's all glorious, and I've got to keep that in balance as well. So yes, Wes, we will get on that. All right. Holy moly, that message makes me realize something important. I'm mind blown. I love that, Cheyenne. Yes. Take your time, Lana. It'll probably work out that way it's supposed to. Absolutely. Going with the flow. But I have looked at it, and we are gonna get onto that. I also have a few things that I have to get on to the YouTube channel. I've got a surprise coming for you guys. I have a Christmas gift that will be coming. I will be posting it soon. Kayla, if you need any help, please let me know. I would love to support you in any way. Bless your hearts. I just may lean on you guys. I just may lean on you guys. Thank you so much for that. Um, and I think, one thing with the go with the flow, kind of piece, we're always tested with that. And I had a recent test, with a charity event. I had to postpone it due to something that came up way beyond my control. I had absolutely no control, and I had to cancel a charity event and rebook it. And at first, my first gut reaction was like I felt my stomach fall. I'm letting people down. And the reason it had to be changed had nothing to do with the Hawk and I. There was a double booked event. There was my event and a community event on the same block. So I needed to move it. And I trusted it so much. I let go of that falling pit in my stomach, and I'm like, you know what? It needs to be moved. There's a higher reason beyond what I'm aware of right now. Either somebody is going to need to be there, that can't be there on the first date, but I'm gonna trust it. And I did put down some of the frown. I got not many, but I did get a few frowns on having to cancel the date. I did get a few, and that's okay. I didn't buy into that expectation of fixing something that I can't fix, right? So that's just one example about, we all learn to go with the flow. I hate to let you go. I always hold on to the last minute, the last second. Um, let's see what our spirit animal book says, and I also want to do an angel number. I'm really pulled to do both today. So what do we need to know as a collective? Let's all take a moment and put some energy into that. I'm gonna take a wee sip of my tea. There we go. A cardinal. Someone needs your compassion and loving attention and has flagged you down to get it. Stop right where you are. Observe your surroundings, then notice any sensations in your body. This is a very creative time, one where it's best to heed your intuitive guidance as to how to express this creativity. Add color to your life in your home, your environment, your yard, and in all your choices of clothing. This is a good time to explore new spiritual growth and to explore perhaps religion that you grew in with eyes and heart open for a fresh look. When you kind of break that down a little bit, a lot of that kind of leaks into what we talked about today. You stop right where you are, observe your surroundings, and then notice any sensations. I talked about that. Trusting your own intuition, coming into your own feeling. I love that. Add color to your life. I'm wearing a brighter color than I normally do. I must have had a sixth sense on that. Let's see what angel number we need to know. 121. Now is a time for your unwavering faith and optimism, which always yield the highest positive outcome for you. I'll read that one again because it's kind of short. Now is the time for your unwavering faith and optimism, which always yield the highest possible outcome for you. We're always where we need to be, right? I love that. Wow. What a delicious morning. Friday, let's see what we're doing on Friday. The power of now has really consumed me because I don't even know what I'm doing until the day of. So let's take a look at what Friday is. So I will be on Friday morning briefly for our weekend energy update. So yeah, I'll see you all Friday. Enjoy the day as always. Don't forget the thumbs up, you guys. I appreciate your thumbs up, by the way. As always, I'm sending you love, light, blessings, and have a spirit guided day. Take care, everybody.